You're getting ready to sell your house for the first time, and you're walking through it thinking, do I need to fix this? And what about that? And what is going to be a problem? And then someone mentions the inspection, and now you're wondering, what even is that? What are they looking for? And what happens if they find something really bad? If that's where you're at right now, this video is going to clear all of that up. I'm going to tell you exactly what to fix before you list, what you can leave alone, and how the inspection process actually works in Arizona, so you're not left blindsided later. Here's what I see with first-time sellers. They usually fall into one of two camps. Camp one, they want to fix everything. They're repainting rooms, replacing fixtures, calling contractors for quotes on things that have worked fine for 10 years. They're spending money they don't need to because they're nervous about what a buyer might think. Then there's camp two. They don't fix anything. They figure the house is what it is, let's just list it and see what happens. And then they're caught off guard when the inspection report comes back and the buyer starts asking for repairs or credits, or worse, they walk away. Neither of those is the right approach. What I teach my sellers is this. There's a difference between getting your home ready to show and getting your home ready to sell. And there's a difference between what you fix before listing and what you handle during the inspection negotiations. Once you understand how this process actually works, you stop guessing, you start making strategic decisions, and you keep more money in your pocket. Let me walk you through what actually happens. Because if you've never sold before, this part can feel a lot like a black box. You list your home, buyers come through it, someone makes an offer you like, you negotiate terms, and you go under contract. All is great. But you're not done. In Arizona, the standard purchase contract gives buyers a 10-day inspection period. During those 10 days, they hire a professional inspector to go through your house, and I mean they go through it. Roof, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, foundation, appliances, windows, doorknobs, water heater, everything. The inspector writes up a report. These reports are usually 40 to 60 pages long, sometimes longer. And when sellers see this for the first time, they think my house must be falling apart, or they think, what the heck is wrong with them? But here's what you need to understand. Inspectors document everything. That's their job. They're protecting the buyer and themselves by noting every observation, every maintenance item, you might want to keep an eye on this. A long report doesn't mean your house is a disaster. It means the inspector did their job. What matters is what the buyer decides to do with that inspection report. And after the inspection, the buyer fills out something called the BINSR. That's the buyer's inspection notice and seller's response form. It's the official document where they tell you what they want you to fix, credit, or address, and then you have 5 days to respond. Then they have 5 days to accept your response, keep negotiating, or walk away. This is the negotiation window, and this is where deals either move forward smoothly or they fall apart. So when you're preparing your home to sell, you're really preparing for two things: how it shows to buyers walking through and how it holds up under an inspection. All right, so what should you actually fix before you go on the market? I break this into two categories: things that affect your home and how it shows, and things that will definitely come up in the inspection later. Category one is visual and functional basics. These are the things that buyers notice the moment they walk in the door. We're talking about burnt out light bulbs, squeaky doors, leaky faucets, stained carpet, scuffed walls. None of these are expensive, but they do create an impression. And when the buyer sees a bunch of small deferred maintenance items, they start wondering what bigger things you've been ignoring. I tell my sellers, walk through your house like you're a buyer seeing it for the first time. What would bug you? Fix those things. It's not about making your home perfect. It's about removing distractions so buyers can picture themselves living in that home. And then there's category 2, known issues, that will show up in every inspection. This is where strategy really matters. If you already know something is broken, not working, or a safety concern, you need to make a decision before you list. Here's what I mean. Let's say your HVAC is 15 years old and it's been making a weird noise for the past 6 months. You can ignore it and hope no one notices, but the inspector is going to notice. And now you're negotiating that repair from a weaker position mid-transaction and with a buyer who's already nervous. Or let's say you've got a slow drain in the master bath. You've lived with it, but when the inspector runs water through every fixture in that house, because they will, it's going on the report. And now the buyer's wondering if there's a bigger plumbing issue. Things I always tell sellers to address before listing are active leaks, electrical issues, non-working smoke detectors, HVAC problems, water heater issues, if it's old or malfunctioning, and anything that's obviously a safety hazard. These items show up in every single inspection. And they spook buyers. If you fix them before you list, they never become a negotiation point. Now here's the flip side, because I see sellers waste money on things that don't actually help the home sell. You don't need to renovate your kitchen to sell your house. If your cabinets are dated but functional, leave them. Buyers either see the potential or they don't. And you're not going to get dollar for dollar return on a remodel right before you sell. You don't need to replace old but working systems. If your roof has 5 years left, you don't need a new roof. If your HVAC runs fine, no matter the age, you don't need to upgrade it. These things might come up in the inspection as nearing end of useful life, and that's fine. That's not the same as broken. You don't need to fix every cosmetic issue, but you do need to address those items that might make a buyer question if a bigger issue exists. Minor settling, scuffed baseboards, dated fixtures, these are not deal breakers. Buyers expect some wear and tear, especially if your home is priced appropriately. Here's my rule. If it doesn't affect safety, function, or financing, it probably doesn't need to be fixed before you list. And that financing piece matters. If a buyer is using an FHA or a VA loan, the home has to meet certain minimum property standards. Things like working utilities, safe electrical, no major water damage. If your home doesn't meet those standards, it can affect whether the loan gets approved. So we pay attention to that. But standard cosmetic issues, those don't block financing. So what actually happens if the inspection turns up problems? This is where first-time sellers get nervous because they don't know what to expect. Let me walk you through the scenarios. Scenario 1, minor findings, smooth negotiations, the buyer asks for a few small repairs or a modest credit, you agree or you counter with something reasonable. Everyone moves forward. This is the most common outcome when the home was prepared well. Scenario 2, significant findings, tougher negotiations, the buyer asks for more than you expected. Maybe they want a big credit or they want you to fix something expensive. This is where strategy matters. You don't have to say yes to everything, but you do need to respond in a way that keeps the buyer confident. We talk about this in a blog of ours on how to handle inspection negotiations without losing the deal. And then there's scenario 3, the buyer walks. This happens when the inspection reveals something major that wasn't disclosed or expected, or when the buyer just gets cold feet. In Arizona, if the buyer cancels during the inspection period for a legitimate reason, they get their earnest money back. It stings, but it's part of the process. Here's what I want you to understand. Most deals don't fall apart because of inspections. Deals fall apart when sellers are unprepared or when the response is emotional instead of strategic. When you've done the right prep work upfront, addressed the known issues, priced your home appropriately, and you understand how the process works, the inspections become a conversation, not a crisis. Let me give you the big picture. When you're getting ready to sell, you're making a series of trade-offs. Every dollar you spend on repairs before listing is a dollar that you're hoping to get back in either a higher sales price or a smoother transaction. Some repairs are definitely worth it. Fixing that leaky faucet, worth it. Servicing your HVAC so it runs clean when the inspector tests it, worth it. Replacing the water heater that's been on borrowed time, maybe, but maybe not. Other repairs are not worth it. That full bathroom remodel that you're thinking about, probably not worth it. New flooring throughout, maybe. Definitely need to look at your competition because you may not recoup that investment in a few weeks on the market. What I do with my sellers is walk through the house together, identify what actually needs attention, and I help them prioritize. We look at what's going to affect showings, what's going to affect the inspection, and what's going to affect financing. And we make a plan that fits their budget and timeline. We don't want you spending money on anything that won't increase visual appeal or help you get to closing. Here's what I want you to take away from this. You don't need to fix everything before you list, but you do need to be strategic about what you fix. And you need to understand how the inspection process works so you're not caught off guard. Fix the things that affect safety, function, and first impressions. Leave the cosmetic stuff alone if it's not hurting you or getting in the way of you receiving that offer. And know that when the inspection report comes back, it's a negotiation, not a verdict. When you go in prepared, you stay in control. If you're thinking about selling and you're not sure where to start, what to fix, what to leave, how to price it, that's exactly what I help people figure out. I'm Cassandra Chavez with the Chavez Dream Home Team. We help sellers in the greater Phoenix area and the West Valley make strategic moves with clarity and confidence. Let's walk through your house together, build a plan so you can make smart decisions. Drop me a message, give me a call. I'd love to help you get started.